We'll get started, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Before I get into it, I'd just like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we're meeting. Pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thanks for joining us. We're just going to present tonight regarding the Get Active Kids Voucher program. This is a program that has been running since March last year. Previously, it's been run as a reimbursement program, but that's sort of changing. So we'll get into the details shortly, but just for those that don't know much about the program, for eligible children, they can receive up to $200 per round to cover the costs of community sport membership and registration fees. Children must be aged between 0 and 18, and they need to be named on a healthcare card or pension card, and also listed on the Medicare card to be eligible. Over the first 3 rounds of the program, SRV distributed 33,000 vouchers across Victoria, and basketball had the second highest uptake of vouchers, with over 5,000 being distributed from March last year up until the end of 2021. It's great uptake from the basketball community, and it's important that we continue to promote and share the program. We probably would have been nudging first position, but swimming, as they opened the age group up from 0 through to 5, originally it was 5+, that opened up swimming lessons to a much broader group of people. But ultimately the idea is to get more money out there for kids to be playing sport, so a great result. As I mentioned previously, the model has been a reimbursement model, but this is now moving towards a traditional voucher model, where we were experiencing some issues where some participants still weren't able to get involved because they had to pay up front and then be reimbursed for their registration costs. So there is a final reimbursement round open now. So anyone that's registered and is eligible and has paid membership or rego fees since 1st of January 2022 up until the 14th of April 22 will be able to jump on to the getactive.vic.gov.au voucher website and apply to be reimbursed for those costs. Again, they do need to make sure they're eligible, or they won't be able to receive the voucher or the reimbursement. But if they do have incurred those costs, so the players that have registered from the start of January through till now can still be reimbursed. They're not going to miss out. But this will be the final reimbursement round as far as we are advised by SRV. So what's changing from the 21st of March, which was yesterday? Applicants will now apply for a voucher prior to registering and paying their registration fees. To do that, they jump on the service.vic.gov.au website listed there. If you basically Google Get Active Kids Vouchers, you'll find the pages quite easily. If the participant is eligible, they'll receive a voucher code. And this is where we change the process. So rather than go ahead, register, pay, and then be reimbursed, they'll now get a voucher code, go and register through Play HQ, and they'll be able to enter that code and reduce the cost upfront of their registration or membership fee by up to $200. This is a change that's been driven by SRV, as I mentioned, to make it easier for people to register without the need to pay up front. This change does, however, put the administration of the voucher and the reimbursement back onto clubs and associations, which previously there was no administration required from clubs. So just going to dive into how it's going to work. So this, obviously, we've been doing a lot of work with SRV and other sports to try and find the easiest way for everyone to one, make sure more kids access the vouchers, but also not put too much additional work on club administrators to manage that process, both from a admin task point of view, but also from a financial point of view, being now the club or association will be out of pocket at the time of registration. So Play HQ have gone ahead and turned on the voucher functionality for all clubs and associations. So we're not requiring everyone to go in there and turn it on for all their comps and programs. That's automatically being done. Participants enter the voucher code at the point of registration, and I'll go through that in a little more detail shortly. The registration fee is then discounted, and the player or the participant or parent pays the rego fee less the voucher amount, and if there's anything left over, they'll still pay. But there will be times when they don't utilise the full 200. Under normal arrangements, the voucher would then be, the vouchers are claimed and would be reimbursed to clubs by SRV within 30 days of the voucher being approved. So there's really an opportunity or a chance there that process could really drag out with SRV, and clubs may be out of pocket for 30, 40, maybe even longer, 40 plus days before they get reimbursed for the voucher amount. In the total scope, we're not talking huge numbers for each club that are going to utilise these vouchers. Remember, they are only for people with healthcare or concession cards. So based on the numbers we've received so far, it's been about 1,500 vouchers across the whole state per sort of quarterly round. There's also added complexity where registrations can be split between the club, the association, and the BV licence fee. So in that instance, if BV didn't sort of manage this process, the club would effectively have to chase up the payment, and SRV would only pay one entity at a time, or one entity per voucher. So the club would, their fee would be discounted. There may be an association fee, which is also discounted, and potentially the BV license fee as well. And then the club would need to claim the voucher code or the voucher amount, be reimbursed, and then distribute the funds to BV and the association, which again is just creating additional admin work. So what we have arranged with SRV is that BV will act as the auspice organisation for all basketball providers in the state. This is, as I've mentioned, to try and reduce the admin burden and also ensure that clubs are reimbursed faster. So I'll go through some of that detail shortly. What we'll need everyone to do is, when promoting this to your members, advise your members to select Basketball Victoria, and the provider number is listed there when they go to apply for a voucher. The other bit of admin that every club and association would have had to do if we didn't take this on was you would all have to go on and register as individual providers and get your own unique provider code. This way, we just refer all players to search for Basketball Victoria as the provider. So to try and speed up payments, making sure clubs and associations aren't out of pocket for longer than they should be, BV will run fortnightly clearing cycles and reimburse clubs and associations prior to BV receiving the funds from SRV. BV will also ensure that all groups are reimbursed correctly. So if we have that situation where a club, association, and BV fee are all utilised as part of the voucher, we'll ensure that each entity gets paid what they're entitled to. One of the key points around this, though, is vouchers can only be redeemed via the Play HQ system. So you can't accept a voucher through other means, whether it's cash or EFT or whatnot, because SRV can't validate that the voucher's been used. So this is an SRV directive that we need to run it through a system where they can match back and have some record against the voucher being utilised. So please don't accept them outside the system. So how's it going to look? This essentially is your normal Play HQ summary page. So at the time when they've registered and they've gone through the process of registration details, participant details, the fees, and then we get to the final payment and summary page. We'll see at the bottom right-hand corner here, there's a government vouchers option. They'll be able to click in there and select that they have a government voucher, select the Get Active Kids as the voucher type, and enter the voucher code. The discount will then be applied. So as you'll see here on the order summary page, Play HQ will automatically deduct the voucher amount from a participant's fee once they've entered the code. The deduction starts with the club fee, and any remaining voucher is then used by the association fee, and finally the BV fee if there is any left. In the scenario here, we can see on the screen, the participants applied a $200 voucher, and all organisations, the club, the association, and BV are all accepting the voucher. The amount's discounted, and the remaining $11 is payable by the participant, which in this instance will go, the 11 will go to BV because it does operate from a club, association, BV sort of chain of command. And then the next stage, we'll just dive into how that sort of gets, when there are split payments, how that's accounted for. So scenario 1 here, we can see the participants required to pay the outstanding $101. So the total fee was $301, made up of $200 club fee, $75 association, and $26 BV fee. So the participant pays $101. In this instance, the $200 voucher goes completely against the club fee. So the association would receive their $75 directly from Play HQ, and BV will get their $26. The club will be $200 out of pocket, which BV will then reimburse them. In scenario 2, so total fee $246. You can see the splits here: 150 for club, 70 association, and 26 for BV. In this instance, the club will be owed 150 by BV and the association 50, with the remaining $20 paid directly to the association from Play HQ. In the third scenario, we're just under the $200 amount. So in this instance, the full amount for each portion will be deducted from the participant payment. So none of the entities will receive money directly from Play HQ. They will all be reimbursed by BV to the club and association. In terms of how we can look this up and see what's been applied against our organisation, in Play HQ here, we can run reports, financial, and the government voucher report. We can put in the dates that we want to run the report to and export that file. When the file's exported, this is a little how it'll look. So this example here at the top is a $200 voucher, which has been applied across 3 entities. So we can see here that All Stars being the club, $170 has been used against their fee, $15 against the association fee, and $15 against BV fee, making up the full $200. You can see the government voucher number here is the same across each one. So we know that that $200, this is how it was split up. If we run a transaction report, you can also see that any discounts applied will be shown here under government voucher amount applied, and then the final amount paid would show here on the net disbursement amount. So in terms of when we can pay, BV can pay clubs and associations, we're not going to wait till the end, which is the SRV model. We're going to do fortnightly clearances and pay you in advance of BV being reimbursed. So we'll do these fortnightly on Fridays. So the 1st of April, 15th, 29th, 13th, and 27th of May. We will do clearance payments on these dates. So the final date vouchers can be used for this round is the 31st of May, and all claims must be lodged by the 10th of June. BV will endeavour to pay all verified claims within 5 days of these claim dates. So what we ask of you, we have created a claim form, and this is mainly so that we can verify and ensure we have your correct bank details, and we're paying you, especially from a club point of view. Often we don't have those details at BV. This will ensure we get we pay you to the correct account. So fortnightly, if you have received or someone has claimed a voucher against one of your registrations, you can complete this form to let us know. We will also run the report from a BV level and capture any that are missed. So if you don't realise and you haven't lodged, you won't miss out. You'll still be reimbursed, but it will help us if you can lodge these forms, especially from a bank details point of view. We'll distribute this recording, but also some comms around the claim form going forward. I'm not sure if we've had questions, Matt, but I'm happy to take questions here. I'm sure there are a few there. So
there's a couple there, mate. Do you want to read? There's one from Joe at the start.
Yep, let's have a look. Okay, so we've already registered weeks ago and have our own provider. Okay, so SRV, as I said, this process was sort of via negotiation, essentially. We were going to run into problems with our split payments where there was concern that each entity wouldn't be reimbursed. So if we only switched on, say, a club fee, you've registered as a provider as a club, then and your fee was $100, yet the participant was paying another $50 to the association and $26 to BV. There was a fear that would mean the participant would only get $100 of that value. So by switching it on for all entities, it meant that we could maximise the benefit for the participant. So SRV have, they should have not accepted or reversed those early adopters from provider with provider numbers. If we have got provider numbers for the voucher codes that have already been adopted, we'll work through that with you and get them reimbursed. So either way, we'll work through it. But I guess the message going forward is you don't need to go and register as a provider from here on in. Next one, does PlayHQ allow multiple vouchers to be entered when a player is registering, e.g. Get Active Kids voucher and a club-specific voucher? We do have some...
Kevin answered that one in the chat, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay, yes, great.
Link in their support article for other people to see as well. So
excellent, thanks guys. Registrations have closed already, have 500 paid up. Okay, so this is one where you need to get on and alert them to the reimbursement round. So if they've already paid, they can jump on there and claim a reimbursement. They'll just need the receipt, ensuring that, you know, obviously they need to be eligible for the voucher in the first place, but assuming they are, they can still claim. Look, at this stage, the latest from SRV is the 14th of April that will close, but talking to them today, there may be some flexibility that will push out further, but best to advise your members to jump on and do that as soon as they can in case that does shut. How are we notified if someone has used a voucher? Okay, so I guess that's why I've tried to set up the fortnightly dates. What I'd propose is that if you don't know that someone's used one, maybe run that voucher report the day before the claim date. And if you find, yes, we have had one used, then you can complete the claim form. If you don't pick it up, as I said, we will run a whole of organisation or whole of BV report and pick up all the vouchers that we used, and we'll cross-reference those against claim forms so that if any are missed, we will still reimburse you for what you're entitled to. If your fee's over $200, that's fine. It just means that the participant will pay the difference. So the $200 discount will be applied and they will pay anything on top of that. And then BV will reimburse you for the $200 once that claim is verified. If a child uses 150 of the voucher for basketball, can they still use the remaining 50 for swimming? No, they can't. They need to, when they apply, they can only apply for one provider, and that's that code is matched up against the provider code. So they won't be able to then use any balance against another activity. If there's possibility that they only claim 150, you probably have to check that with SRV. But my understanding is no, they can't use it across multiple sports. Again, clubs registered provider, that's okay. Going forward, please push your participants to use Basketball Victoria, but we'll work through any that have slipped through. Members can still put their voucher number in despite applying. Yes, Joe, let's try that. If they have already got their voucher, let's try it under ours. If you run into any problems, please just contact Kevin Chantel at Digital Support and we'll work through that with you. Worst case, we'll speak to SRV and get that tidied up for you. Do members have to apply for the voucher through PlayHQ? So they apply for the voucher through the Get Active Kids website through Service Victoria. Once they've received the voucher code, they need to apply it and effectively claim it through PlayHQ. Yes, they can't. Vouchers won't be validated if they're not accepted through PlayHQ, and that's an SRV requirement, so they can have an audit trail on the uptake of those vouchers.
It's worth calling out too, Ben, sorry, it's Liz here from PlayHQ, that voucher can only be applied at the point of registration. It can't be applied post that registration point. So please make sure that you're communicating that to your members.
Good point, Liz, thank you. Where do they put the provider as BV on PlayHQ? They don't need to put the provider in. So the provider part is when they apply for the voucher with SRV. So they go on, and part of that application process is they'll have to list who the provider is that they're going to claim their voucher with. And that voucher code is then generated with a specific sort of sequence, which applies to the provider number, which is BV. So they won't need to enter that on PlayHQ. The time period between application and receipt of a voucher. So in terms of if they're applying for a voucher code, I believe that turns around almost straight away, assuming that they have their concession card or healthcare card numbers. They'll apply, they'll get given the voucher code straight away, and then they can use that when they register via Play HQ. In terms of if they're going to do the reimbursement round, as I said, the 14th of April is our understanding of when that next or that final round will close. So that if they've already paid, they can jump on there and claim that via that system. Cut-off date for voucher application. So the final day that it can be used, I think if I just go back a couple. So 31st of May is the final date that vouchers can be used in this round. That's not to say that they won't open up a new round post that date, but at this stage, that's the final date. We'll skip over that. I think that might be it. In terms of questions, anyone else got any final questions? Oh, here we go. Can a club choose to be their own provider? No. If you're a basketball club or association, it's all through BV. It was arrangement with SRV for us to take over the admin portion of this. As you can imagine, if we had split payments across 500 plus clubs, the administration involved in trying to manage that. I mean, how many people have we got on tonight, Matt? 40 people. So we've got 40 people on this call.
I was muted. Yeah, 40 odd.
So we've probably got 460 administrators not on the call who would be coming to us asking these questions. So great that you've all jumped on here. We have taken this on. It's going to be significant work for BV to manage this, but we'd rather be proactively managing this, getting you guys paid faster, reducing your admin requirements, than pushing it back the other way and asking you to then have to be out of pocket, collect the money from SRV, and then start distributing it out to BV and your associations and the like. Okay, we had a couple more come through. Those who already claim their voucher codes to our codes, can they change that to BV? Let me come back on that one. I'll check with SRV in the morning and just see what that process is. My understanding was that those providers were going to sort of be removed, I guess, or reallocated to BV, but let me just check that one and come back. So if someone hasn't received the voucher yet, they can't register. So do we, as a club, offer a voucher from the club to get them registered in time? Okay, so remember this is up to 31st of May, so this has only just opened up yesterday. So in terms of giving them an additional voucher, I mean, beyond the program, I'm not sure what you do, but we can only reimburse vouchers that are from SRV. So if you create your own, we won't be able to reimburse you on that. So they do need to go through the application process on the SRV website to obtain the voucher, because that will be cross-referenced against what's used at the point of registration. So I'm not sure if I've answered that one exactly, but they do need to use the SRV voucher to be reimbursed. We will record and share this, yes. Sorry, and then Kev's just pointed out, yep, if you've registered pre this without a code, you can go on and get reimbursed. So if someone has done that, please direct them to that. And so sorry, contact practical problems, since a lot of your mentioned costs are not paid by our members through Play HQ. The arrangement we have with SRV is that all vouchers need to be utilised through Play HQ. So if we're not running costs through Play HQ, which we should be doing, so hopefully clubs and associations are utilising Play HQ. That's the idea of it. Maybe it's a good sign that we need to revisit how we're currently setting up our methods of receiving payment. Unfortunately, it will mean that if you do it out of Play HQ, then the participant won't get the benefit of the voucher. I think that's it, Matt. We might draw it there. If people do have queries, they can contact myself or the digital support team if it's Play HQ related. I don't envisage too many issues from a Play HQ usage point of view. We've switched all that on. It should be pretty straightforward for participants. Just the next stage, I guess, is really important that we promote this to our members so they are aware of what to do. And we'll also share some information as well as the recording on how to apply and the like. And we'll be promoting from a BV point of view as well for all participants on what they can do to try and access the vouchers. So thanks so much for your time on a Tuesday night. Appreciate you getting on, and hopefully, at the end of the day, as I said earlier, the idea here is to get more kids playing sport, and hopefully we can help do that. So thanks again. Enjoy your night, and we'll speak soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.